Kersha. The official score tonight's game. Stone and 1.
See if that's coming through. Here's music. Doesn't sound, I'm worried there's like a double, like an echo. No, because that people will hear it. Yo. I'm not gonna say anything right now. People will hear it. So let me just turn it up. Let me see what. What am I hearing? No.
St. Louis looking good. And here we are live from the concourse at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Adam Woden with Mike McMahon. We are here for our Frozen National Final. I just started looking at our screen here on the live stream. I have semifinals recap. I'm like, wait a minute, I got to fix that. So hold on. So Mike, oh no, well we are gonna recap the semifinals. So that is true first. But anyway, welcome. And that was the music, the stylings of the Black Keys song called Black Mud. There you go. Very important to get rocking there, as you know from my chat with Tim Washi of Western Michigan in the locker room yesterday. If you read that story on College Hockey News, talking to him about the only player in college hockey that still plays rock music in the locker room, apparently, is Tim Washi of Western Michigan. So he's now my favorite player in college.
I like it. I like it. Good to hear that there's still one of us.
All right, well, here we are. Championship coming up, Western Michigan, Boston University. We got a lot of guests coming up. Scott Sandelin should be here pretty soon. Mike Zook of the 1975 Michigan Tech champions and played at St. Louis. A bunch of other people. So first we'll start out before we get there with the semifinals and just talking about that. Western versus Denver. 32-8 were the shots in the first two periods, absolutely annihilating them. Somehow Denver rallies in the third period. You're starting to wonder if it was going to be like the that Minnesota State Denver game in 23? No, was it 19? I get them all confused at this point. What year was that when they was
it 22?
22, right? Sorry. Hey.
Right? It was Boston in 22, I think.
22.
Yeah.
22. But really, I mean, even though Denver got those 2 goals, I mean, it still looked like they were kind of running out of gas. Western, and they had a couple of good chances in that first overtime. Then Western comes out and takes it to them in that second overtime and gets a little break there at a bounce. Owen Michaels scores, so that's all she wrote. But, man, you got to hand it to Western in that game for really making Denver look bad at times.
Yeah, you wonder, too, like, obviously Denver playing down a couple of defensemen. Boston, Buckberger, we played a lot of minutes for them over the course of the year. Polkamp and Bullion played a ton of minutes in that game, and they did look a little fatigued towards the end. I mean, I think that's just part of it. We had Bullion for 51 minutes of ice time out of an 80-minute game, and I think Polkamp was up around 37. So, it's hard to say one guy makes a difference, but you never know. Like, does that one guy playing top 4 minutes on D for them take some of those, maybe takes 10 minutes away from Polkamp and Bouillon, and are they a little fresher at the end? Not that you're placing any blame here on one guy, but again, like that's a lot of minutes, and that takes a toll on you, especially with how physical Western was and how physical BC was against Denver just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it doesn't really explain, I guess, the first period or
no,
second
that's
period,
true.
so
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, unless Bouillon was more banged up than he thought, but he definitely got hurt during the course of the game. But again, I don't know how much of that was a factor. It just looked to me from the naked eye that he wasn't quite as dazzling as he usually can be. But, 51 minutes out there, I mean, that was just, it could have just been fatigue. But, yeah, it doesn't necessarily explain the 32-8 in the first 2 periods.
No, you're right. It doesn't. Not the start, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was very odd to see Denver looking that way. Before the game on Thursday, we had our show, and we said, hey, until the dragon is slayed, you got to go with the dragon there.
Yep.
And Western showed. I wasn't sure because, Denver took it to Western in the NCHC tournament game, and then Western came back, scored 3 goals. I just thought maybe Denver got overconfident and, in the third period, and we would see the full 60 from Denver, but nope. Again, you got to hand it to Western. They were first place in the NCHC for a reason this year, and they won the NCHC tournament. Now they're going for the hat trick tonight.
Yeah, and it's like I thought their depth showed in that game too, which you need, especially at this time of year. So many times I feel like we've been talking about whether it's national semifinals or national championship games, and yeah, we talk about the top players because they're the top players, but there's so many times where the third line steps up and makes a play, or the third pair on D makes a play. It's depth that really kind of shines, especially at this type of year. And I think that's what we saw with Western the other night too. Was just their depth kind of came through. They're tough to beat. No matter who they're rolling over the boards, it's a challenge. And sometimes those lines bring a little bit of a different challenge depending on who's out there. That top line with Bump and Michaels shoots a ton of pucks. They're a little bit quicker. You work your way down the line chart a little bit. On Washi's line, there's a little bit more size there. So, like, they all kind of play a little bit differently, I think is what makes them a difficult team to contain.
Yeah, Michaels now, I mean, his goal totals going up this year. He had 2 last year. I think he's got 16 or 18 now this season.
Yeah, it was 16 this year, yeah.
Yeah, and, that's the first line. I was telling people I was sitting near a scout. I don't even know who it was, honestly, so it's not like I'm protecting his name. But I was usually sitting in the stands and not in the press box during games, and I was sitting in a section with a lot of scouts. And I overheard someone say to another guy sitting next to him, these guys were all mediocre USHL forwards. Like, how are they this good? But, I mean, that's the secret for Western Michigan, because they're not getting James Hagens and whatnot, They're not getting Macklin Celebrini. But they're getting guys who were, first, second liners in the USHL, but had potential that was untapped. And it's just like a combination of recognizing the guys that they could work with and developing them. And every good coach develops players, right? I mean, we talk about a lot of teams who can do that. But the gap is like so drastic on a lot of these guys. The leap that they make going to Western Michigan. And obviously the credit for that goes to that coaching staff and what they're able to do with these guys. And, go up and down the lineup with Liam Valente, Grant Slukinski, and the amount of scoring he has increased since last year. I mean, Grant Slukinski was at, no offense to the CCHA, but he scored only 6 goals last year, and I think 9 points last season for Northern Michigan.
Yeah.
And this year he's got 36 in a much tougher league. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it reminds you a lot of what Duluth did for a long time. Like during that run in 18-19, they were developing players that were middle of the lineup players. They didn't really have that top line, or at least that traditional top line that you'd see from a Michigan or BU or one of those types of schools. I mean, there's some draft picks on this roster. Don't get me wrong. I think they got 6 or 7 draft picks, but they're not first-round picks. I don't even think there's many second-round picks. Bump is a third, I believe, right? Bump a third from Philadelphia?
It doesn't say it right in front.
I'm pretty sure he's a third-round pick.
It's on our site, collegehockeynews.com, but not on their line.
So you got some kind of depth picks. I mean, I know most NHL organizations, I mean, anything after the second round is essentially a lottery ticket in some forms.
Bump is a fifth-rounder,
Bump's
by the way.
A fifth-rounder. All right, well, even more so then. A lot of times – and I think the other thing, too, is that you get some of these guys that because of development have been put on radars as potential free agents that I don't think anybody thought Tim Washy was going to be on an NHL radar coming into the year. But because of development, because he's gotten better over the course of the year, I wouldn't be shocked to see him get a chance with a team after tonight. I mean, you can't even say when their season ends. It's going to end tonight one way or another. But after tonight, I've heard that there are some teams that are on him, and there probably weren't a year ago.
Washy had 12 goals in 4 seasons coming in this year, and he gets to stay for the 5th year because of COVID. And 16 goals, 36 points this season. You look at Matteo Costantini, who's a 5th-rounder. He actually had more goals last year, but he came from North Dakota. And he's been an instrumental player, obviously. Yet the only guy they have above a 5th-rounder as far as their skaters are concerned, Samuel Scholand, the junior, is a 4th-rounder. And then 3rd-round pick is Zach Naring, who is another guy. I mean, he was picked in the 3rd round because he's big. I mean, he's 6'5".
That helps.
But he did not put up really much in the USHL last year. But he comes here as a freshman. And 30 points in 41 games, 13 goals, and he missed a wide open net the other day. I thought that was going to haunt them.
I saw that. Yep, and I think part of that too is just size. I mean, NHL, it's kind of funny. Like I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago. The NBA, you think of the NBA as being the size league. I mean, you got to be big to play basketball, but there's a lot of smaller, quicker guards that are making their way through the NBA now, and meanwhile hockey's getting bigger and bigger. It's almost like the pendulum is switched, and teams are looking at the NHL level looking for size. I was talking to somebody a week ago who said, if you're a defenseman trying to play in the NHL and you're not 6'2", I don't know that you got much of a shot.
Yeah.
With the way the league's going now. So I think that's what stands out with Washy, too. 6'3", so he's going to get a chance just because of that size. And he plays down the middle. I mean, that's another thing with Washy. He plays down the middle. Big 6'3" center. So I would not be shocked if he's on some radars, along with a couple of these other guys potentially after tonight, which is, as we talked about on Thursday, could be why why Western has they've got some of the top players coming into the portal already, and I wonder if it's they know. I mean, they know a guy like Washy is going to graduate, but I wonder also if it's they know that they may have some guys potentially moving on here.
Well, quickly before we bring in Coach Scott Sandelin here in a few minutes, BU, I mean, speaking of smaller guys, it's funny how the defensemen, now you can be 5'11". Maybe, the Hudson brothers certainly getting away with that, and Cole Hudson. Wins Rookie of the Year, College Hockey News, and the National Award from the Hockey Commissioners Association last night. And we'll get to the other awards later. But BU, I mean, look, Penn State was their first time there. they came really dark horse down the stretch, had a tremendous run. I guess they kind of hit the wall yesterday. I thought BU, I mean, give credit to BU for playing, again, a complete game. You never know where you're going to get from BU, but they are capable of playing that way. And they did a good job of holding Penn State's, guys like Serrato and Aiden Fink and DeMarsico never got going for Penn State in that game. Late, they made a push, obviously. They had a goal in the third period. It was 2-0, made it 2-1. And they had some good chances, but they couldn't get that tying goal.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a workmanlike game for BU, which is kind of what they need.
It is, yeah, and I think that's experience, too. It looked like they were the team that's been here for 3 years in a row, and it's a different week. I mean, managing that travel on a Tuesday, which is not typical for a team, there's a lot more media attention. There's a lot more responsibilities. You're walking the red carpet on the way into the building, and I know that all sounds like it's not a big deal, but hockey players especially, everything's about so much routine. They have their routines, and I mean, this is a very different routine than any other game they probably played over the course of the year. Maybe you get a little bit of it in regionals, but really, you completely take it out of your regular game day routine in a setting like this. BU just looked like a team that knew what to expect, and Penn State's a team that is kind of where BU was 3 years ago or 2 years ago, figuring out what this whole week is about.
Well, let's bring in Coach Scott Sandelin, as long as he's good enough to be here already. That's good. You're a couple minutes early. It's all right. But which one you got here? 4? Okay.
Coaches are always early, I think. Just grab one?
Yep.
That one, yeah.
There you go. Make sure we got the right one. Oh, that's 3. Okay. There we go. All right. So, hello. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Scott Sandelin on the committee once again. But first, whatever that's worth, right? But first things first, we were just talking about Western Michigan. And, they remind all these NCHC teams that have won championships in the last 10 years, including you guys, and then Denver, seem to be built on the same philosophy of, like, keeping your consistency in their classes, having a good mix.
Yep.
And you were able to do that for a while. Denver, now Western seems to be following that model.
Yeah, for sure. They've got a really well-built team. I mean, like you said, they've got a good mixture. I think the difference this year, their back end is really good. Obviously, they found a couple goalies, and especially Stokinski. But just you look at a player like Tim Washi, the year he's had, and just the career. And hopefully, we see more of those type of guys in college hockey that spend the time there and grow. But he's been pretty instrumental for them. But just really like the way I've watched their last 4 games, and I love the demeanor that they played with. They can win games in different ways, and that's what you need at this time of the year.
What we're seeing now from them, is that what you saw all year, or are they playing at an even higher level right now?
I think a higher level. We saw them in the league early in November, and again, we've always known they've been a great transition team. A team that plays very fast. But I think they've really grown through the year as far as they just seem very confident in how they're playing and how they want to play. And like I say, you get a goaltender. Good goaltending. It certainly starts from there on out, but some of their freshmen D2 have really grown, and obviously Alex Bump's had a tremendous year and a dangerous player. It's hard to believe he hasn't scored yet, but he's always a factor.
Yeah.
So
no, guy shoots like and it's not just throwing shots. I mean, he's driving play. His shot totals are crazy.
Yeah.
He always seems to be there. So
puck stays on his stick a lot.
Yeah.
Got great deception, and he'll be a factor tonight.
Bump had 23 shots on goal in the NCHC semifinal and final combined. I remember looking at the box score that week ago. That can't be real. He had 23 shots on goal in 2 games. We were talking earlier about guys like Michaels and Washi and those guys that have developed, big time year over year.
Yep.
Obviously, Washi's a little older than Michaels, but when you've seen that happen with players, what are some of the consistent characteristics, or what are some things that guys go through in that year to make the types of jumps that those 2 players have made?
Yeah, I think it's just a kind of a culmination. Like I said, I mean, that's the way it should be. I mean, you bring in players, and each year you hope that they continue to add to their game, and you never know when they're going to have that big year. Some guys, it happens earlier, but I just, like a Washi, like he's always been a heavy, hard player, physical, good on the face-off dot, and this year he's scoring big goals for them and contributing, not just in the same way, but just the leadership part, I think, is huge. And you have a guy that's kind of like grown with their program, and the guys look up to him, and I think it shows. And I know First talks a lot about that with him, but I just think the confidence players grow. They gain that confidence. They get put in different situations to continue to grow that confidence, and certainly he's become a real leader for them.
Just more competition for you in the NCHA, I guess, with how Western has matured over the last few years. And now Arizona State this year coming. Just another pain in the neck, I guess. But did you enjoy having them in the league this year?
They were a great addition. And I thought the two teams that were here in Denver and Western were two of the top teams in our league. But ASU, we played them 6 times, but I thought they were right there. I mean, they had a really good team, forward group too, that a little bit older, and dangerous offensively. Again, transition, could score goals, and we had, I think 4 overtime games with them. So we had a really, really good series with them. And but I would say they fared very well in our league, and easily could have been in the tournament as well.
We've talked a lot about issues. I feel like even going back 20 years, at one point the issues you talked about were gentlemen's agreements. No one talks about that anymore. So a lot of people don't even know that was a thing.
What's that?
But it's got to be strange. Is this one of the strangest times ever in terms of a lot of teams and having to prepare for things that you don't even necessarily know what you're preparing for?
Yes, for sure. It just seems like you just gotta stay in the now and just worry about the now, and then whatever at the end of the year, something's going to happen, right? So that's kind of how it feels, and it's been crazy. But again, it's something that it's not going away. Unfortunately, we try to solve it. If you guys have any ideas, please let us know. But it's just not going away. And again, you gotta find ways to adapt to it and use it however you want to use it, whether it's the portal, whether it's the CHL, and just do the best you can. That's all you can do.
I mean, is this a challenge, though, that you're ready to take on? Or, because a lot of coaches now are just like, you know what, I'm out of here. You can see, 6 retirements this year, So
I know everyone keeps hinting. I don't know, but
I'm not trying to get rid of you, believe me.
No. Yeah, I think I want to see it through. I mean, again, even when the portal came out, I wasn't a big fan of it. I think there's some good things to it. I don't like how, it's being used, but we're going to use it because we have to, and we had some unexpected losses this year, so we've got to use it, and that's there. But you got to let some things play out, especially with the major junior situation. I think it could be real good. I mean, like I said, the number one thing, we get a bigger player pool, which can help, and certainly it's going to benefit some teams. But how all that's going to work out, it just takes some time, and sometimes we're all impatient, but we'll see how it all shakes out.
I don't know how much of those games you've watching potential CHL players. I didn't really watch it. I'm not sure I've watched any CHL games.
I don't think I've watched a CHL game in my life. I'm going to start now.
I did in the fall. Once I knew or heard about some players coming, I would check out some specific players. How do you think those players will adapt? I'm sure some will have an easier time than others, but there's times where I watch some of those games and it's like, it doesn't look like the same game. It's kind of a lot more puck possession, whereas you watch a USHL game, it looks a lot more like a college game. Will there be an adjustment period for some of those players?
Yeah, I mean, I think like any player, if they're a top 2 or 3%, they can play anywhere, right? And they'll find a way to play. But I think the biggest adjustment is going to be the school part, the number of games, and just the structured weeks that we have. That's so we have one defenseman coming that we're excited about, but it's one of those things where, again, you got to kind of see. It's a little scary territory, and I think it's going to go well. I think there's going to be some surprises, though, but we'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, there's some uncertainty, to see how it goes. But I don't think that's any different now than bringing in players that you recruit normally, and unexpected. Are they going to be here for how long, right? So.
Well, the beauty of it is we're taking some questions here from our live stream. So someone wants to ask you about Adam Gajan's, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Did I say that right? Gajan. Thank you. Sorry. Apologies to his family. But how his freshman season was, considering the step up. And now, of course, he's going to have to contend with the fact that two of the guys I think you lost were goalies. So I'm not sure what his the backup situation is going to be for next year. But
Well, we found one, so
Okay.
we're still finding another one. But, I think it was probably by his standards, probably not as good as he probably thought. I think we gave him opportunities early. There was some really good moments, and I think, there were some struggles, and then he got hurt, and then he missed a long stretch of time, and that's where our other goaltender played and then got back. And so I think it was a year that probably was very frustrating for him, but also a good learning year that we hope he can learn from, how to handle this level and how to handle that situation. And, quite frankly, I think he maybe was thinking a little bit about too far down the road instead of staying in the present. So I think that helped him. But, if we find another goaltender that'll compete with him, it'll be good for him. So, but we're looking for him to bounce back and have he's a really good goalie. He's got talent, but again, he's got to go prove that too.
Yeah.
So we're looking to him to have a much better year than he did last year.
I think among all the crazy things that we could talk about, one of the crazier parts of this is that you have to be. Western Michigan is here. The players see social media. They see all the lists that Brad Schlossman and Mike and our site have of who's going where for next year, and they're still playing. There's like 5 guys committed to Western Michigan for next year. Now, I mean, maybe better that you don't. I don't know. I know you want to be here, but you don't have to worry about that part of it. That seems crazy for a coach to have to juggle that whole thing going on.
Yeah, I know that they both. A lot of guys I mentioned just can we start it after our season's done, which does make a lot of sense, and I'm sure we'll revisit that again like we do everything else, and if it changes, I would be fine if it started then too.
Yeah.
So it is kind of weird when you think of that. So they're trying to get ready to play their games, and it'd be nice if you still would probably be dealing with a little bit of it, but it would be nice if it starts a little.
At least it's not out in the open.
Well, the funny so there's another aspect to this. So that's funny that you said it because we could start it later, and then it may not be out there, and you might not be hearing about who's committed to what, but your staff still has to be sort of thinking about this, like in a general manager's sense, like starting from January probably, right? Like while you're trying to coach the season.
January.
So, I mean, I guess the third assistant helps these days in that regard. You can have.
Yeah, that's been a great addition.
Yeah.
Certainly, and just to have that extra guy. I mean, it helps not only just from the recruiting side, but just the practice side. And again, before it used to be where you had one coach trying to run practice. At least now you can maybe have 2 and still have 2 guys out on the road. But and with the addition of obviously the CHL players, you need more guys. We can still use more, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll keep pushing for that.
I mean, even if Firsch wants to ignore it right now while he's here, he can't ignore it. I mean, he's got to, his staff's got to be working the phones, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to answer questions about it. He doesn't want his team to hear about it, but they still got to do something about it. So anyway, I don't know,
He seems pretty relaxed and ready to.
Yeah,
to
he's
display,
a cool
right?
customer. I tell him, you and him are the 2 coolest customers I've ever seen at the Frozen Four. So
I know, with some of this stuff too, is your hope, you think, that college hockey will still, at least in some way, be able to manage itself? Because it's kind of been that way for a little bit, where it seems like the NCAA is pulling back and wants more say in certain issues. I'm just hopeful that maybe the hockey people will still get to make some of the hockey decisions. Is there any hope for that, you think?
I think there's a lot of push for that. That we'd love to have, just almost be separate and just do what we need to do. And that's been talked about for many years, as you guys know. And our world's certainly a lot different than the other sports. And now, maybe we'll see that. The way this world's going, I'm not sure we're done changing yet. So, but if we can push for that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think for hockey.
I've said it a couple times. Every time I think I'm done trying to write about an NCAA story or contact a lawyer to say, what does this mean? Something else happens.
Changes, for sure.
let's talk, before we let you go, let's talk more on ice stuff, which is a lot more fun to talk about, at least.
Sure.
Max Plant came on into the year.
Yeah.
Looked like he had a tremendous year, of course, the whole Plant family. But just talk about his development and positive nature of that.
Obviously had a huge impact. Got hurt in his first game, unfortunately, but played him with his brother in Shaga Bay a lot. And the first game that he got hurt in, they had all 3 goals for us. So it was a pretty good start for them. But, tough to miss him for 10 games. Certainly, in my opinion, next to Dom James, certainly one of our top impact players, and did get back, and that was good for him to get some games before the World Juniors and go over there and have the success those guys, him and Kleber, and come back and just have a real positive impact on our team, right? And we're looking for those guys to take another step. They certainly showed a lot of real good things as freshmen, and they're gonna be drivers for our team, and it's kind of fun that you can come back with those guys. They're very similar players, right? They're good offensive players, but Max is a special. He's a little bit different, and in a real good way. So We're excited to see what step he can take next year.
Is there another brother too?
Yeah, they're Victor.
Yeah.
There's just.
I thought there was one more.
I'm trying to might keep them all there for a little bit because he's playing in the program.
Okay.
He'll be on the 18 team next year. So.
That's good. You just got to keep them all. I always hate to say that now. He's, Shagabe too. I mean, you want to make sure you got to constantly be re-recruiting your own players, which is kind of weird.
It's a pretty special group. It's a big group, and we're looking forward to growing with them. And obviously, we lost some older players, so those guys are going to be kind of our leaders next year, along with a few of our other older guys that are returning. So, but. We'll see where it takes us.
All right, Scott Sandelin, head coach of Minnesota Duluth. You got one more year in the committee, so you'll have to do this again next year. Then you're off the hook. So,
well, Vegas isn't going to be too bad, right?
Yeah, well, if we can find everybody next year.
Good point. Good point.
Hey, call Caesars. Where's Coach?
Well, thanks, guys.
But thank you. Take it easy. All right, Scott Sandelin, head coach of Minnesota Duluth. Always good to talk to him, and it unfortunately always comes back to the portal these days.
Like everything else.
We'd love to stick to the on-ice topics, but we got our next guest coming up here in just a second. That'll be Eric Martinson, the Associate Athletic Director at North Dakota, who's going to give us a what for all the North Dakota stuff we've been talking about lately, but that's okay. That is the beauty of it. We don't shy away from that kind of thing. I mean, we've all been speculating, so we'll get to him here in just a second. But, I really hope Duluth can keep their guys, Not that I have any more affinity for them than anybody else, but I hope everyone can keep their guys. I mean, you get guys like the Plants and Shagabe, who is, Mr. Hockey in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And you want to keep them. You want to see that continuity in college hockey.
Yep.
I mean, that's, so I'm hoping they do. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I like this.
Look at that. He's going to bribe us now. Sorry, I'm just punching your name in here to our there we go. Oops. Hold on a second. All right. We want to make sure we got that right.
No, it shouldn't matter which one. Either one.
All right. Sorry. Let's do this again. Eric Martinson, North Dakota Associate Athletic Director. Deputy. I'm sorry. Let's make sure we get. You're already mad at us, so we want to make sure we got that right. But these are beautiful, by the way. 2020. This is the first time I'm seeing the logo for the 2026 Frozen Four in Las Vegas. So there you go. And you guys, North Dakota is hosting. What's that?
I can't wait.
Oh, you can't wait.
No.
Yeah. North Dakota is hosting next year, and so that's why, part of the reason you're here. But first of all, before we get into the other stuff, tell us about Vegas, how it's going, how you guys got involved, what the process was like, and how it's shaping up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Obviously, appreciate what you guys do for college hockey, and this is a big deal for us of just getting on this podcast, talking to you all, and talking to the fans of college hockey. That's a really big deal. And again, can't thank you enough for all you guys do for throughout the season. So, as he said, we're hosting in Vegas. We're hosting with Las Vegas Events and T-Mobile and MGM and just the great crew that down there. It was funny. We put this bid in. We were working on it in 2019 with that last site with that big cycle that they did. So we were the end of that one big cycle, and working on it since 2019. It feels like so long ago that we've been once we got awarded, and now we're gonna be there next year. So it's kind of go time for us, and we're really excited. Bringing the Frozen Four. We know how successful successful Tampa is. We know, everyone talks about the rotation. Well, we think Vegas could be in that rotation conversation.
Fine with me.
Because yeah, absolutely. When you got beautiful weather, like I think it was 91 degrees in Vegas yesterday. Like that's gonna be the ticket. Weather's a big ticket. A lot of accommodations and just things that you can do in Vegas, in and around the games. We think we can bring a whole lot to the Frozen Four and to just surrounding the 3 games that we have here. And we just think we can do it at a high level. Do it at the level of what Vegas can do and what they always do with anything the events that they put on. So we're really excited, and just with University of North Dakota being the host, with our affinity with with Ralph Engelstad and that family and Chris Engelstad and the Engelstad Foundation, it's just a great marriage that we have with Vegas and why we're doing it, and we feel we've put on a lot of regionals.
You've played regular season games.
Yeah, we've had Hall of Fame games and different things like that. We've been at the Orleans, we've been at T-Mobile, and been really successful. Like our fan base travels, and we're so thankful for that. And we just feel like we can put on a good show down in Vegas for it. So
everything feels bigger when it's in Vegas. It's like whether it's a big fight or a UFC or whatever, everything like when it's in Vegas just feels bigger. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like that outside shot of the strip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we feel really good with our team hotels, which with the Rio and the Palms. Our headquarters. We do. Yep, our headquarters is going to be Park MGM. MGM is going to be a big help with a lot of our pieces of what we're going to do in and around the facility. So with the Toshiba Plaza right outside the venue, we just feel like we can blow it up right around the rink and then even inside the rink. T-Mobile, as they put on Cup Finals. They know what they're doing, and we have probably 10 to 15 people here this weekend, just doing a host site or future host site meetings and things like that we're just kind of taking notes and seeing what they did here and how can we make it better down there.
Well, if you have any connections for the Cosmo, feel free to now. I love that place.
We'll work on it.
That's the high end, though. We'll let you slide on that. But you said the Palms, the Rio. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. As long as it's not July. I was down there for the draft last year. It was 115 degrees, so April should be okay.
Yeah.
It might be a shock for you guys going from Grand Forks to the desert there.
It's a great time to mark it on the calendars and get down from Grand Forks or from wherever you're from and get to Vegas, get in the pool, do what you need to do. There's gonna be lots of stuff to happening in and around that event.
It's easy flights too. Like it's an easy place to get to. There's a million flights going there. Like it's gonna. I think it's gonna be really successful because of that. It's gonna be so easy for everyone. No matter what team you're a fan of, where you live, it's such an easy way to get in and out of there with so many options. Like it's gonna. I would imagine you're going to get a lot of travelers because there's no reason not to.
We've done a lot of talking. We have a booth on the concourse here and talking to so many people of just the annual people, the annual ticket holders that, NCAA has done a good job of kind of helping them out. They get, special access to tickets. And there's so many people that no matter where the Frozen Four is, they're going to go. And we've talked to so many people that want to get on that list, but also just said they can't wait for Vegas to get there. So it's not only just waiting for what teams are going to be played, but also just the casual fan that we think we can just have more casual fans down there that you get, like you said, access to the city, but just from making it affordable and flights and the accommodations and all those things, I think it'll be really, really good.
I feel like you didn't have to twist the committee's arm a lot on that one.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like I said about the rotation, I think, once we got the bid, we said, hey, this is awesome. We think Vegas is going to be great, but we want to make sure that we can blow it out of the water to make sure that it's a no-brainer for people to come back. I think, places like Tampa and Minnesota, Boston, like everyone talks about that, but what can we do special in Vegas to make people go, okay, yeah, that's got to be, every so many years we're doing it, and that's our goal next year to do.
I mean, and obviously the NCAA was always squeamish about it in the past because of the gambling connection. I mean, that seems to have gone out the window now. But I think the Vegas Golden Knights coming in really kind of showed that, look, we can do this. And it's not going to be like, a shady thing
Yeah.
like 24/7 or anything like that, and it's completely viable. And they went. So I'm sure what's the relationship with the Knights been?
Yeah, they've
like?
been awesome. They're ready to open their doors and just really give us what their experience is and give us the night experience on what they're doing. So we got a lot of cool things planned and what we want to do in the venue, and we got to work with the NCAA on letting allow us to do that stuff. But the Vegas, the actual organization, they've been nothing but great. Every time we do a site visit, every time we talk to them, they said, yeah, whatever you need, we want to make sure we showcase hockey. And kudos to Chad Tolliver and the NCAA. We want to reach out to the grassroots hockey in Vegas as well. That's really growing, and we want to capitalize on that on Wednesday and Friday and do different things within the hockey community in Vegas. We think that's really important. So we're really excited to partner with them and the local youth hockey organization there.
Yeah, I think I've been to Vegas 5 times now, and the last 3 times I was there, I didn't gamble a penny. So you can do plenty now. You don't have to. I decided I like my money more than I like playing. So
you're a smart man. You're a smart man.
But there's plenty to do. There's plenty to do for anyone thinking about it. These days, that shouldn't be an issue.
I would put it like this: like my wife likes hockey.
Yeah.
She's not going to travel for hockey. When she found out this was in the rotation, she was like, "Hey, I'm probably going with you that weekend."
My wife said the same thing.
I figured.
Yeah, the amount of pools and the amount of just things that, like you said, the things you can do inside the hotels, but then even outside, the excursions, the different things that you can go, the sights and sounds that you can see in and around Vegas has nothing to do with gambling. You can find find something to do for anybody.
My wife's been to 2 Frozen Fours, Tampa and Chicago. The Vegas she's going to be in. Don't worry. But anyway, listen. I also have you here. I want to give you opportunity because we've been talking a lot about North Dakota lately. They've been in the news, in case you don't know. Hiring a new coach, Dane Jackson, replacing Bradbury. And, we've talked about it, and, we tried to preface it as much as we could with saying we don't know, we weren't there, speculating. Some of the stuff looked maybe like, what are they doing? We're not really sure. Is it rushed? Was it, did the process go? If you listen to this podcast before, we've asked all these questions. So here you are. This is your chance to yell at us. Your chance to set the record straight more than anything on your process for hiring Dane Jackson and what all that went into it.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything more to be said than just there's a process through everything, and we know that we needed to do an expedited process, but we wanted to really have a national search and put our due diligence. It was a 3-day search, and then once we got our applicants, we knew that people were going to be coming at it, and I think you guys even said, like, this is a coveted job. We knew that, and that's why we wanted to open it up, and we wanted whoever we were going to pick to really earn it, and I think that was we learned a lot about our program and talking to a lot of the people that we did interview and that we spoke to. We had a great group of people that we were so many people reached out, current players, former players, alumni, people associated with our program. A lot of people care up in North Dakota, and I think we tried to do our due diligence throughout all of it. But we knew that we couldn't wait a couple months. We couldn't wait, a couple weeks. We know that there's so much going on, and student athletes are going to go in the portal, and we knew some of them that were going to go in, no matter what we did as a decision from the coaching staff. So the portal's always open, it feels like, but even more so in that time frame, we felt like we needed to kind of get someone in there that can do it. And Dane Jackson had a great vision, and he thought through that and really was able to talk through certain things. And I always tell people we didn't just hire Dane Jackson. We hired a vision of what he wanted to do for his coaching staff and how cohesive they wanted to be. And hiring Bryn Chizik as a general manager was part of that vision of what we want to do. And I think college hockey's changing, and the needs of what you need to do from a recruiting standpoint and having a presence in the rinks and the CHL piece and just having relationships, those are never ending. And when you're in season, it's kind of hard to do both. So I think that vision of what a coaching staff is going to look like and how we're going to modernize that really came to the forefront with Dane, and that was really evident throughout our process of when we did through the interviews of that. So I know, I think the comment was, well, how did you couldn't even get anybody to campus? I I think that's, with the advent of Zoom, I think we were able to have a lot of good conversations and really long conversations throughout that time frame that we felt comfortable enough to make a decision. So, the process is the process. Every school is different. You look at Notre Dame and how they're doing, and some of these coaches that are handing it off a year in advance, there's different ways of doing it because you can't lose time with the unknown. When student athletes don't know what's going to happen, then things get questioned or things kind of go different ways. So we just felt like that was the best process for us, and I'm really happy with the end result of it.
How do you kind of envision, you mentioned the GM role, how do you think that will be different than maybe a traditional assistant coach? Like, is there specifics in that role where you think, I would assume maybe be on the road more, but like, what were some of the ideas behind that, the specific naming of that role and just what that role will be? Yeah,
I think it's really unique, but again, we got to modernize with what we're doing, and with the CHL piece, being in Western Canada is important to us, and important to Dane and the coaching staff, and I think when we when you create that structure of staff, that GM role is really someone that just needs to be in those rinks and talking to those future recruits all the time. We can't. The portal's great, but the portal's not great, right? Like there's different scenarios that you want to dip into it, but you also want to make sure that you're recruiting players that want to be there, be at your program for a long time and for multiple years. And I think that starts with the relationships of being at games and showing them that you care, and making sure that you're aware that who do we need to talk to with the different family advisors and different things. I think that GM role can it's not just a third assistant. It's the general manager making those decisions and working with the head coach that can talk to different student athletes and future student athletes of your program. I think it's just really important for us, and getting in front of those student athletes is paramount. And if he's not going to be on the bench for games, I think you're seeing that recruiting is that important throughout the season when they're playing games and when we're playing games, that he might not be on the bench, and that's okay.
When you look at, dummies like us talking about this stuff, I mean, I think, part of the reason why we talk about it is like, you look at how all the transfers went in there anyway. Yeah. And sort of like the narrative of like, they wanted to cut that off at the pass by doing this fast. Well, that didn't work, right? So that's why, that's I think what fueled some of this stuff. Yeah, and I think you guys do such a great job of saying kind of what's out there, but also saying, hey, we don't know we don't know everything. We're not in that room. We don't know that student athletes, what they were thinking, what they're going through, what they needed to do. So I think every situation's different. You just had Sandy on. Other coaches, they all have different situations with different student athletes, and again, I think you guys do an awesome job of keeping your ear to the ground, but not everything is how it seems too. So it's we're in a crazy time. We're in a crazy time, we definitely tried in all those talks to say we don't know.
And
but
you do great on that.
Talking about the optics of it. I say again, giving you a chance if you want. Maybe you don't want to. But the only other thing that was like, was like Bradbury's letter to the Grand Forks Herald was like, it just struck everybody, I think, as like, whoa, what is he trying to say? Like, it didn't seem to take a G. And obviously, I said at the time, like, he's upset. I love Bradbury, but he's upset. Obviously, I would be upset. I've been fired once in my life before, and it's not fun. Yeah. So you're going to be a little upset, but it just came across as like, he was urging you guys to do a wide search. Yep.
And I think we did that, and I think just because the end result was Dane Jackson doesn't mean that we didn't do that national search and talking to all the talking to people from the pros to juniors to college, far and wide. So like I said, just because we hired Dane doesn't mean we didn't do that. And I think I'm very proud of kind of the due diligence that we did have. But yeah, I think Brad has had his 10 years with UND and very proud of those 10 years and what it was. But again, with the modernization of where we're at, and that's Dane Jackson's our head coach, and I think we're really proud of where we're going to go. Kind of thinking front windshield and just kind of moving forward.
Well, I appreciate you coming here and setting the record straight, because we don't like to. I don't like to just shoot off things I don't know what I'm talking about. But you know our friend Adam Bodnar?
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard?
Bods.
We'll just say he's a Western Michigan fan. He wants to know why you announced the new coach 10 minutes after Western clinched the Frozen Four last week.
Yeah, I think
Stealing his thunder.
Hey man, to be completely
He's kidding
transparent.
already, yeah.
I know he's kidding, but to be completely transparent, Coach Herter was a finalist, and I don't think it was fair to him to once we made a decision that we would announce that before the game or during the game, and I think we tried to be pretty transparent with our process with who we were talking to, but I also think we wanted to be fair to it as well. Like if something happened in the second period and all of a sudden his phone starts blowing up or he checks that, like that's not fair to anybody else. Jason Herter's an amazing human, and there's nobody cheering louder for him tonight than us, so we actually were thoughtful of, even the other coaches that were coaching that night, we wanted to be thoughtful to make sure that they got a phone call from us first to say, hey, we appreciate your time and we're going to go in this direction. So that was a little bit of the timing just as a kind of look into that piece of it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was, I appreciate your time coming on here. Yeah, I think it was a job that we talked about it a couple of weeks ago that you would think would have a lot of interest. So I assume that whole week was probably pretty hectic and pretty busy those first 3 days with phone calls and Zooms and whatnot, because it's got to be with the facilities you have and everything else. It's got to be one of the most coveted jobs.
Because we were just like, how are they getting through all this in 3 days? Like that.
Yeah.
And what you're saying basically is, well, we did. We just didn't sleep, basically.
Right. That's pretty much it, right? Like I think there was no bigger issue that we were dealing with than that right then throughout that whole week. And we had to go through and through the process of making sure we were checking boxes with the HR piece of it, but also doing our due diligence and with coaches that were still, coaching at the time and other people that were in play, we wanted to make sure we were respectful for everybody, but we also knew that we had to get it done. And with Zooms and everything else, I feel still really comfortable of the conversations we had and how many times we had it and for how long we had it.
I'm sorry, I'll let you go in a second, but what can a new coach, obviously expectations are very high. Brad Berry was pretty successful. I mean, maybe not winning every national championship every year, but like, does every coach in North Dakota have to worry that they have to win the national championship every year? Like, what is the standard?
Yeah, I think we were pretty upfront on the expectations that we need to be in the NCAA tournament. We need to be here at the Frozen Four, and you got to get lucky. There's a little luck that comes with it, but you got to put yourself in that position. And we feel at North Dakota that we should be in that conversation more times than not. And with the amount of resources in our fan base, you look around and to see the amount of green jerseys and our fan base that's here every year, we owe it to them to do everything we can to be at this tournament and to try to get lucky and really put ourselves in position to win a national championship. So
I was going to say, here's one other. I just thought of something else you can help me set straight, because I was actually defending you guys on this one.
No.
Someone was saying the fact that you guys decided not to opt in to the House settlement was an indicator that maybe you didn't have the resources of other schools. I say I don't think one thing has anything to do with the other, and that you'll probably opt in the future, right?
Yeah, correct. I think opting in when we needed to opt in, it's the House settlement has changed even within the last week. They're talking about roster limits and all those different things. I just think from our standpoint, our athletics director Bill Chaves, he announced it and put out publicly that hey, the House settlement, for us to say that we're opting in before a judgment has actually been decided is actually us not doing our job, right? Like we're not doing our job if we're not thinking through what are the implications of that, and to make a decision without all the facts was really hard. So I think if they work through some of these things, that might be a decision we have to make in the future, and very could. But just because you opt in doesn't mean you love your student athletes more, right? There's a lot of things that we do currently with cost of attendance and Alston dollars that some schools that might be opting in don't even do Alston, and they might be just choosing to do Alston. Well, you didn't have to opt in to do that. So there's different pieces and that we're working through, and I think everyone's waiting to see what Judge Wilkins going to do and when she's going to do it. But I think with the roster limits potentially changing, maybe not changing, I think we're all kind of keeping our eyes on that, and who knows what decision we can make after that.
That's the crazy one to me, because I know for a fact you have teams right now that have opted in who are making decisions to manage their roster on a 26-player cap, now finding out that existing players may be grandfathered in, or the roster cap might be phased in,
Correct.
or it might not be there at all.
Yep.
And I had 3 conversations in the last 48 hours with guys going, I got a pit in my stomach. Did I just cut 3 kids that I didn't have to cut? Like, it's crazy. It
Correct.
really is.
Correct.
That you're asked to make a decision to abide by a set of standards that you don't know what the standards are yet.
Yep. You know what's funny? There's a lot of times you want to be a leader in the clubhouse. You want to do things like we did the general manager piece. We want to be forward thinking and on the front of a lot of things. But there's some things we learned in COVID. You don't have to be the first to do something. There's a sit and wait period that we kind of decided to kind of sit back a little bit with the house stuff just to see what happens. Because why make decisions on something you don't have all of the right all of the information to make an educated decision on? So I think it's going to get crazy once she comes back and kind of really decides on what that is. But I also think there's going to be a period in which you can, make a decision after that.
Yeah, it sounds like I read that as well.
Yeah. So I think we just have to do what's best for North Dakota and our programs at North Dakota. So, and I think we will.
All right, listen, Eric Martinson, really appreciate it. Vegas, that's
Yes.
the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Hopefully Dane Jackson and North Dakota will be there, but even if not, you will be there. So
That's right. That's right. No, I can't say it enough. I appreciate everything that you guys do with the mailbags and just the amount of coverage that you have for college hockey. We all know college hockey is very special and near and dear to all of our hearts, and you can just see it, at these Frozen Fours in different places. So just thank you guys. Can't thank you guys enough for all you guys do.
Well, not every city has a Brad Schlossman and a Grand Forks Herald, so we try to fill the void of everywhere else. He's got Grand Forks covered.
Yes,
but
he does.
We can't do it better than him, but
Yeah.
we try to do everything else. So, but
That's
thank you very
awesome.
much. Enjoy
Awesome.
the game here. We'll see you later.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, that's Eric Martinson, Deputy Athletic Director at North Dakota, and we thank him for coming on and talking about all this stuff. And as we take you up to 6:30 Central Time, drop of the puck here with Western Michigan and Boston University, and we got more guests coming up. Waiting to hear back from who knows what. Waiting for guys to answer their texts. But
I thought they were spot on, like with the house settlement
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
with their AD to say, how do we opt into something that we don't know what the parameters are yet. Like, we don't know what we're opting into. And when I read this week, we've been obviously a little busy at the Frozen Four and the game's going on, but when I read this week that the judge had said we might grandfather in players from before this year and they're not eligible for the roster limits or whatever that case is going to be, when I know there's teams managing that right now, and that's not even to include, by the way, all the other sports, the fall sports, soccer teams that had to make decisions in December with this is decisions we have to make because we're opting in, we're going to be a house school, and you don't know what you're opting into. Like, it's just wild. It feels like another lawsuit, right? Like, if you have a kid that got
they're
cut
never going
because,
to end.
Oh, but if you're a kid that got cut because of roster limits, and then as it turns out, the roster limits didn't exist. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but that seems like it's a class action lawsuit waiting to happen. So,
all I can say is, in the words of my grandmother, oy vey. But
yeah.
Well, let's transition. I mean, that's great stuff to hear from him, and we appreciate him not putting us in a headlock for all the stuff we talked about with North Dakota and setting the record straight. And of course, all the Vegas stuff was tremendous. We got the what is this? The beer warmers over here, whatever you call
The
them.
koozies.
Yeah, I know. I hate that word, so I didn't try to avoid it. But
Sorry, I didn't know.
No, that's all right. Are they just mailing it in though on the logo these days? Are they just like is every logo every year the same? Just change the
Seems that way.
city and the year because they all look similar nowadays. They used to be like they used to look like different, like go with the city. But I'm just looking at the logo for the first time. It's pretty much the same as this year's. So I think that's just
I think
the
it is the
standard.
same. Yeah.
I think they've standardized this at this point pretty much.
They used to add a little bit of flavor. You used to get like some sort of. I think it was in Philly. There was like a Liberty Bell was worked into the logo somehow. But
yeah.
Now they all look the same now. But
got some scouts walking by here. I'm trying to recognize who they are, but I can't. So I would have yelled and flagged them down if I knew them. But anyway, let's get to. We're going to transition, like I said, away from that. We got some other guests coming up here in a second. I want to listen to Isaac Howard, the Hobie Baker Award winner. And, anticlimactic because he was the College Hockey News Player of the Year, which, as we all know, is certainly much more important than the Hobie Baker Award. But good to see the Hobie people following in our footsteps by naming him the Hobie Baker Award winner last night. And a little bit I noticed some jaws on the floor when that was happening. I mean, look, we had him as our player of the year. We're going to talk more about that on the other side. But I want to hear from Isaac Howard first. Remember, he as you listen to this, remember that he announced on Wednesday that he was coming back to college hockey next year, could not come to terms with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and is going to play for Michigan State his senior year, which is very rare these days. He's the first Hobie Baker Award winner to come back, if it actually winds up happening. Okay, there's still 4 months to go.
You never. I mean, I keep going back to Rutger McGrody a year ago, but yes, you never know.
Because his rights got traded, and then he wound up leaving, and which is very possible. And Logan Cooley a few years ago said he was coming back, and then in August changed his mind, and he was only a sophomore at the time. But anyway, if he does come back, he'll be the first to do so in 20 years. Marty Surdich in 2005-06 was the last Hobie winner to come back for the next year, which is crazy when you think about it. So anyway, so as you're listening to this, talking to him yesterday at the Hobie ceremony, keep all that in mind as we listen to Isaac Howard.
As your trendsetters on that one, so. But congrats on that.
Thank you.
Were you surprised, shy? I mean, it was just didn't know what to think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have went anyway, right? Like those Lenny and Zeev are incredible players, had unreal seasons, so didn't know which way it could go, and obviously when my name was called, it was super exciting. Such an incredible honor, and I was really pumped.
You can become the first ever two-time Hobie winner now.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, wouldn't that be something?
Ike, what's been key to your development over the past 3 seasons of college hockey now?
Yeah, I mean, I think just being grounded. Every chance I get, just trying to get better, just working hard, putting my nose down. I think that's what Michigan State's all about, and I think that's why I've loved it there so much. It's just preaching work ethic, always trying to get better, not looking at the scoreboard or the end result. So, I think I've flourished there.
You've won the Hobie now. What do you do for an encore besides, as Adam says, win it a second time? Why come back to college hockey for another year?
Yeah, I mean, I want to win a national championship. I didn't play to win a Hobie. At the end of the day, I want to win a national championship. I think we're going to have the group to do it. It comes down to the tournament at the end of the year, you know what I mean? We just got to be ready and make sure we don't leave anything on the table.
Have you been excited hearing about some of the names Michigan State's rumored to be getting in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. Big one we're getting from the CHL is Lidstrom. The kid looks like a beast, and I think he's going to be a great addition for us. And, I'm excited to get to know him and get him at campus.
How much of a factor was that in you coming back to Michigan State, just knowing the kind of arsenal of guys that you guys are going to have?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty incredible, like when we get Trey back and stuff like that. The stars are kind of aligning to make a deep run and, win a national championship. So, I mean, it was pretty easy for me. Like, it was so exciting to be a part of that, and, should be good.
Did you and Trey talk about coming back? Like, was this a coordinated sort of thing, or was it individual?
Honestly, no. Didn't exchange any words about it, but just excited.
Isaac, I'm curious, how well do you know Jimmy Snuggerud well at all, or he did the similar thing with St. Louis? He wanted to come back to try to win a national championship in Minnesota. Did you maybe talk to him about that? About that possibility.
Yeah, me and Snugs are great buddies. He's a great friend of mine. I've known him for a while, so I think, like I said, everyone wants to win a national championship, right? And when you find a school that you really like, you're not necessarily in a rush, So just being patient, being where your feet are, and I think he had a great year, and now he's doing really well with the Blues, so it's fun to see.
I know you mentioned how it took a lot of people to get you here, but just specifically, what role did Coach Nightingale play in making you a better player and putting you on the stage today?
Yeah, I mean, I think his biggest role could even be outside of hockey. Just how he's made me a better guy. He's such a world-class guy and an unbelievable coach. He's preaching stuff off the ice, just ways to kind of live life. And I think never taking any shortcuts is a big one he preaches on. And, I think that helps leak into on the ice, too, just making sure you're doing every rep to your full intent and not taking any shortcuts.
I know you had high expectations when you came back and played with Nighty at Michigan State, but to be at Hobie Baker, top of the sport, what does that mean to see that accomplishment come out of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting. It's an award, obviously, that I would love to win and stuff. It's shows you had a great season, and I've absolutely loved my transition to Michigan State. I couldn't be happier, and it's definitely fun to get this award.
And so much of these one and dones are luck. I mean, you play Cornell 100 times, you might win 85 of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So can you even pinpoint what you guys need to do to put yourselves over the top, or is it just kind of sometimes the way the puck comes? You know?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you need a couple bounces, right? I thought in that Cornell game, I thought we played really well, actually, and controlled the game. That can happen in one-and-done situations, like you said. You know, you can get unlucky sometimes, but you just try to control what you can control, and, you know, hopefully you get success that way.
Well, congrats. Thank you.
All right, that was Isaac Howard. We got a conversation going on with a couple of fine gentlemen who are trying to find it as I'm live now. So I will. No. I'm trying to find it for you, but we're talking about opting in and not. But I will. Yeah, it's one of the articles called "This Week in College Hockey" that Mike McMahon wrote, and if you just filter by that, you should be able to find it at some point. So yeah, thank you. All right, so well, that's good. You just missed, we had North Dakota's athletic director on here talking about, we had his associate, Eric Martinson, talking all about the coaching situation. Of the why of what? Oh, well, I don't know if he's going to say a whole lot about that. Why Barry was like, but if you go back home later to listen back to, you can go to College Hockey News, listen back to the interview with him. He talks all about. Here, give him a microphone. Give him a microphone. Oh, there.
You want to give one?
Yeah, give him a microphone. This is North Dakota. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm a grandpa of North Dakota kids. I have 2 grandchildren now, 6 alumni in my family.
Nice.
And my question is why is Brad Berry gone? I'm trying to figure out the reason. And I know Dana's different, but it's still another North Dakota boy that was named coach.
Yes. Well, why he is gone is just, I think he talked about that a little bit right here. I think their expectations are just so high. They expect to be in the Frozen Four NCAA tournament every year, and once he didn't do it for a couple of years, it's like, I mean, whether it's fair or not, I don't know, but that's his answer.
Yeah, I can understand that because it's hard for us to believe. At one time, we were like the 25th best team in the nation. We don't belong there.
That doesn't cut it, right?
With all the money that we spend on hockey in North Dakota, we got to be better than that.
Well, next year in Vegas, how about that?
Thank you very much. Yeah. I will not say go certain Native American Indians.
That's okay.
tribes.
We're not the NCAA. We won't get you in trouble.
Go Sioux.
All right. Thank you, Tom. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's fun. We should do that more often.
I know, right? We should have an open mic.
As long as nobody curses, that's all right. But although Sioux might be a curse in NCAA land. But here we're okay. But no, that was fun. Thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%.
You got a question too?
No.
Oh, no, I don't have them here. No,
yeah, we don't have hard copies of them here.
Yeah, no, I apologize.
Not yet, anyway. Yeah.
As you can tell, the crowd is filtered in here. It's always a good time when we're out here on the concourse doing live radio, but it is fun. We should definitely do. I wish we could do that more. Like you said, if we had like a speaker where everyone could hear us, it would be fun.
I know.
To be
That's the next goal.
Yeah,
maybe.
But anyway, everyone sitting at home right now just heard from Isaac Howard.
Yes.
As we were coming out of that conversation with him. And I know you laughed when during the course of the playback of that, part of what he talked about was Caden Lindstrom coming to Michigan State, which of course is not official. I guess he sort of confirmed it there. Like, it's not like it's a secret in Michigan State circle. They can't say anything officially.
Probably means documents have not been signed yet. Aid packages have not been signed yet.
But Isaac Howard doesn't care about that.
A commitment has been made, it would appear. Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about that, though. Adam Nightingale, the head coach at Michigan State, is not expecting Isaac Howard to come back. And now Howard's back, and now Lindstrom. I mean,
Augustine's back.
Yeah, you got to fit these guys in the lineup. I think it's a good problem to have.
I think it's a great problem to have. I'm sure he'll gladly take on this problem. Yeah. What a problem to have.
It's
Seriously.
crazy, though. I mean, it's a stacked lineup, obviously. If Howard follows through and comes back, you heard him talk about it right there. We had the story from basically his representation on Wednesday about the reasons for coming back. We didn't really get into NIL money there. I know they bristled a little bit when we mentioned NIL being one of the reasons, but really just one of the reasons. I mean, again, believe him. His motivations are pure to come back to Michigan State, try to win a championship. But I know there's a lot of Tampa fans that are upset that they couldn't squeeze him in. They didn't really have any cap money.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to go to Syracuse, where you're under an AHL contract. So,
well, it makes
it is
if
what it
nothing
is.
else, it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
it gives it the ability for a guy that now has the ability to make money, where maybe he wouldn't have before.
Right.
So it gives him the ability to do it. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. And let's see, we got a couple other guests who are going up here. I was going to say, one of our guests, I guess, fell through. So let's listen to Adam Nightingale himself here talking about Isaac Howard. And then we're going to come back and actually discuss the actual naming of Howard as the Hobie winner in more depth. Oh, that's great. Sorry. Trying to get to Adam Nightingale here, so hold on a second. I think I pressed the wrong button. There we go.
Yeah, excited and proud. I mean, I think pretty rare you get to coach a kid like this for 4 years, right? It's a unique circumstance. I had him for 2 years and then 2 years here, but just seeing how much he puts into it, and I really thought, the other candidates were great candidates and anyone truly could have won it, but from a coach's perspective, seeing a guy that's that committed and do what he does on a daily basis, and, it's a culmination to a moment like this.
Seems like the only way he tops this is a national championship. Obviously, that's the goal next season. So how does his return kind of factor into that goal for you guys?
Yeah, that's our goal every year. That's every goal. I think every team that plays Division I athletics, that should be the goal to start the year, right? So then how do you get to that point? You got to have a great summer and a great spring training. Then you got to have a great summer, and then you got to, when school starts, you got to be ready to be great in school, and then you got to have a great first practice and a great second practice, and then be ready for the first weekend, and then have a good. I mean, it's a process, right? So that's definitely our goal. We want to be at the top, and we've still got a lot of work to do.
You were probably planning already to not have him. I mean, you're going to squeeze him in all right back in your lineup?
We can make a spot for him. Yeah, we make a spot for him.
Is it surprising that he wants to come back for another year?
No, I mean, yes, when you stand back and say what the year he had and obviously winning the Hobie, but I also think it speaks to Ike's maturity from a sense that you don't have to rush things, right? This is still about getting an education too and finishing his degree, and I think he's shared it here. He loves it at Michigan State. He feels like he can still improve, and I don't know. I think there's a little bit of humility with that to say, hey, I get it. There's all these guys are signing. It still may happen. Who knows? Like, there's whatever. But so to say, hey, you know what? I can still get better. I can make Michigan State better. I think that's where Ike's heart is. He wants our team to be great. This is obviously a great individual award, but it's a product of him losing himself in the team.
Where can his game improve more, do you think, next year?
Well,
Get him ready for the
I thought he took a really good step away from the puck. We started using him in the penalty kill. I look back at the Big Ten championship game. He's out there in overtime killing a penalty, right? So being more consistent in those areas, right? I think using his body. I thought the second half of the year, his physicality with him out the puck was a lot better. He's got a gift to finish, but I just think consistently, doing it not even within from game to game, but shift to shift.
How did he break the news to you that he was coming back? Did he?
He called me and just said, hey, coach, just want to let you know I'm coming back next year. I'm super pumped. He said, I think we're going to have a great team. I want to help the team. I want us to help to be a great program. And again, that's for me, all my experience with Ike is it's always about the team. And I think that there's an aura about Ike that with the draft day and the white suit and that. But I think that when you really dig in and get to know the kid, there's not a better teammate, and our guys would tell you the same.
What does it mean for the program to be able to have a Hobie Baker win it this year and be able to really grow on it going into the future years?
Yeah, I mean, you look at how many great players that have played at Michigan State, how many great teams that we've had, right? That this will be the third time it's happened. Like it's a very hard award to win, right? You got to have a good team, right? You got to have good guys around you. You got to have a good season. You got to be healthy. You got to have some things go your way. But yeah, for our program and our alums, I mean, I was joking with Ike. We got to build a new trophy case because the way it's set up at the entry to Bond, there's only 2 there right now, right? So that's a good problem to have.
What do you attribute? So it came back to you from Duluth. Kind of maybe a little bit lost. I didn't have a great first year, and then last year, I'm sure the numbers weren't where they were this year. What do you attribute the big leap to? Like, I know there's still more little things for him to do, but what was that big leap like? How did that get happen?
again, I think I have a unique perspective with Ike, right? Again, 4 years coaching him as a 16-year-old. I will say that I've been able to coach him 4 years. Every year I've coached him. He's been the leading scorer on our team. So I've always seen him where he needed to improve is away from the puck, right? And as much as people think you can just show them one drill or do one clip, like it takes a little patience on the coaching side for sure to understand playing away from the puck. And then the player needs to show that it's not for a lack of trying to do it, right? And you just keep chipping away at it. And I think the rest of our staff has done a great job of meeting with them. It's not just me. And I think him taking that step away was great for him to see this year. Like, he was way better away from the puck, and his production went way up.
Does offense come out of that then?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Offense, confidence, playing in more situations, like getting out on 4-on-4, playing with the goalie out. Like I think you've got to earn those, right? And I get it, you're a first rounder, but you don't just get those. You got to earn them, and he's done that.
There's Adam Nightingale, head coach of Michigan State University, talking about Isaac Howard, among other things. And, of course, he avoided the question of Caden Lindstrom.
As I think he's required to do.
Which is smart. But, these days, who knows? There's no rules anymore anyway. But
doesn't seem that way, that's for sure.
But, hey, listen, we're going to talk all about the Hobie actual selection. And, again, we picked Isaac Howard, so it's certainly not a big shock to us. Although it was surprising to me in some way, and certainly on the scene there, I think a lot of people expected someone else to be selected. But, hey, he did lead the country in points per game. So we're going to pause that here again because our guests are coming in fast and furious right now. And we're going to bring in Greg Kersha of Chew Dog Hockey Academy.
Either one.
Pick your poison.
Doesn't matter.
You got it. And welcome, Greg.
Thank you.
Chew Dog Hockey Academy, one of our fine sponsors, so we appreciate it. Wanted to make sure we got some time with you. But so instead of me trying to explain it, explain what you guys do and how it all came about.
Well, it's something my son and I have been talking about for years.
And your son Matt played at BU.
My son Matthew played at BU at Michigan Tech. Now he's with the Wheeling Nailers, the Penguins organization. Played for a lot of good programs growing up. But one thing we learned, it was always just about hockey. And so we had this vision of creating a better experience for players, something unique, was about learning life lessons through the game of hockey, making great players, great people. And so right now it starts with the Chew Dog Hockey Academy camp, and the longer-term goal is to make that an elite club program, where part of that program will be scholarships and financial aid, because one thing that's missing in the game is an opportunity for families and players, first-generational kids, to get into the game. They're prohibited by cost. So we're fortunate, we're blessed to be in a position where we can give back to the game, and kids can come in and do a learn to skate, do a learn to play, see if they like the game, and hopefully through that create a path for them to move on through the program.
He's got a couple of kids in youth hockey. He probably use a donation or two, probably.
I do. In fact, one of my son's friends, I think, has done the camp the last 2 years as a goalie.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah. Who's that?
My son's friend is Cam Nunes.
Okay.
He's a goalie. I think he did it last year and the year before.
Is he from Waltham?
He's from Danvers.
Okay.
Or Saugus.
Okay.
Saugus.
Okay.
But yeah, we're up on the North Shore, so I know a couple of kids that have done it. In fact, my son almost did it last year, and just the week didn't line up. We were away the week. You guys hold it at Bentley now, right?
It's at Bentley. This will be our second year at Bentley. This year we actually have access to boarding, so we're looking to expand our reach beyond Massachusetts and New England, and hopefully a little bit up in North America and the Midwest and out to even as far as California. The long-term goal for this camp is to become an elite showcase. We're not looking to grow it beyond, it's going to be 60 players. We don't want to grow it beyond that. We want the kids to come in and have a full experience. They come in each morning, they get a guest speaker, a different theme every day. They learn about nutrition. Hey, Bernie. They learn about nutrition on ice. They're at a college campus. They're at a Division I program. They see what it's like to be part of that program. So they're getting the college experience as a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid.
That's pretty cool. And obviously, I know Your son Matt, I'm sure, is one of the coaches that we were
Yes,
on the
Matthews,
website. It looks like
Matthew's the.
Well, I was just looking at
he's my partner in the face of Chew Dog.
I was just looking at some of the coaches. I was looking at, especially Mark Gatcomb stood out because he's been playing in the NHL.
Mark had a historic day. Mark's a dear friend of the family and close friend of Matthew. And I talked to Mark the other day, and I said, think about this. You're in the history books now. You scored the winning goal.
That's right.
In the game that Alex Ovechkin broke the scoring record. Get that score sheet. Get it signed. Frame it.
Yeah.
And you can show your kids. You can show your grandchildren.
100%. Yeah.
And Mark's a great kid. He's great with the kids on the ice, so it will be good to have him back.
He's been a great story. So I'm an Islander fan, so unfortunately they haven't had a great year. But he's been a great story on that team for sure this year. But how does your academy fit into the ecosystem? I mean, there's other ones out there. What are you trying to do to stand out from the others? But also, does it have to be competition? I mean, there might be ones all over the country that do similar things.
There might be. There might be. And I think the biggest challenge for us, there's so many out there, and so many kids and so many families. They think it's a money grab, right? So last year, through an anonymous donation, we were able to provide the camp for free because we wanted to prove to people that it's about the camp, it's about the experience, it's about the culture we're building, it's about learning life lessons through hockey. It wasn't just about money. And so kids came in and got to get the full experience. And this year, there'll be a cost to the program, but a portion of those proceeds, what we're trying to do is eventually take some of our proceeds and start a donor advisor fund, and then use that donor advisor fund to start learn to skate programs throughout the state, including our own for Chew Dog Hockey Academy. So I think we're a little bit unique there that we're willing to give back our own funds to help grow the game. And I think that's unique. I don't know a lot of camps, I don't know a lot of programs to do that because we're going to carry that same theme into our program.
I mean, obviously you had a son play Division I college hockey, but what was so do a lot of parents. Like, why did what was your real motivation?
So our inspiration was, you go around to these club programs and you walk in the rink and you see the pictures of players that made it. No one ever talks about the kid that didn't make it.
Yeah.
So when the time comes, whether it's middle school, whether it's high school, whether it's college, you're going to learn other life lessons that we're going to celebrate. Let's celebrate the guy that decided after high school he didn't want to play anymore, but he went on to an elite college and he became a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, some other form of success in life. And let's celebrate that. Because our long-term goal, we'd love to have a facility, so when you walk in the facility and walk into a rink, it's just not the picture of the guy that made it to the NHL, not just the picture of the guy that made it to Division I. It's the picture of the person that made it in life. And hopefully they stay involved with Chew Dog and give back like we're trying to give back.
Sure. No, that's great. That's great. I know it seems like it's growing too. Is that something you've seen year over year? Have you seen numbers grow and increase?
This will be our third year. First year was Matthew got hurt that season, didn't play. It's like, this might be the right time to launch this. So it was kind of a last minute thing. But we did a lot of work behind the scenes to create the logo and the brand and the website. But getting players to buy into it, we only had 18, 20 players. Last year we had 40 players. This year we're hoping to have 60 players. We'll probably be 3 or 4 days of camp. We're still working out the logistics on how the camp's going to get mapped out. But you're looking at 60 players, 4 teams, 3 or 4 days of camp, and then have an actual Chew Dog showcase tournament.
Oh, cool.
And eventually the goal was to getting some coaches in the building. Club coaches, D3 coaches, Division I coaches. Because that was our theme last year. Everybody's journey is different. So explain to the kids, everyone's path is different. Make it your own. Make it your own path, make it your own journey. You can learn from a lot of other people, but at the end of the day, make your own path, your own journey based on what's best for you and what's going to develop you. And that may take you to club hockey at a school that you never thought you'd go to. Like my own nephew played club hockey at Penn State. He got the Penn State experience because he wanted a larger school. He wasn't going to play D1 there, but he still got to play hockey.
Yeah.
And there's other kids that want a great education, or whether it be a Bowdoin or a Babson or a Middlebury, and say, you know what, I'm not a D1 player, but I want this education. And then there's kids that they dream about the D1. They dream about going beyond. So they get to learn a little bit about all of that, and we teach them about their path. And one thing that's going to be great about the program down the road is we're going to jump off at the high school, right? So we have no skin in the game to say, yeah, you should stay in your high school.
Yeah, right.
Go to prep school.
Okay, that is a big thing these
days. So because we don't, we can advise them based on what's best for them.
Yeah. No, and
because
that's
everyone's
a big
always
thing.
trying to tug them in a different.
And it's so hard to get an honest answer sometimes. Like going through it as a parent, I have a almost 13-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I know enough to know this is the right move for you. This isn't, but I see parents make decisions, and it's like, who gave you that advice or whatever? And they're just getting pulled in so many different directions. If you don't know, it's overwhelming. I mean, because especially like where we are, there's so many options. Prep schools, junior programs, full season midgets, blah, blah, blah. There's so many different options. It's really overwhelming for people that might have like you said, have a kid going through it for the first time. Maybe they didn't play and they don't really know. No,
and also there's parents that think their kid's it, right?
Well, that's an element too.
I'm guilty of it. But it's also recognizing along the way. Yeah, I always had a thing with Matthew. I'd say, I own Plan A. I'm going to do whatever. Your plan, your goal is to make it to the NHL. I know that. So I'm going to do whatever I can to help you. But you own Plan B. You know what Plan B is, son? Get your education. Be a good citizen. Get back to the community. You do those things, and I'll continue to support you. And I think we need more parents that understand that there's a chance their son or daughter is not going to make it. But what are they doing along the way so they're ready for life?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's what we want to try to do.
Yeah.
And you played at Bentley, so when it was a Division III school.
The Jar.
What's that?
The Jar.
Yeah, right, the Jar, right. And that was at Jim McAdam? Was he?
I had Tim Flynn was my freshman coach.
Okay.
Mark Canavan my sophomore year, and then Tommy April. Okay. And then Jim McAdams came in after.
Oh, okay,
April.
okay. That's where I come in, so I don't remember before that.
But I did get to play for Jim and for a Massachusetts team my senior year in Europe. So Jim's a great guy and did a lot for the program.
Yeah. Well, but what do you make of what Bentley's become? That beautiful new arena in the NCAA tournament for the first time. I mean, it's like, where did this come from? Like, it's crazy.
They cut my vacation short from Florida. I had to come back, and they almost did it. It was,
I know. They gave him a heck of a run there in the third period.
Jim got him back on the map.
Yeah.
Ryan took him even. Ryan did a great job getting him to where they were. And now Andy's come in and doing a really good job of expanding the program. I think Andy brings in a lot of experience from other programs, which I think is beneficial to Bentley. Did an incredible job this year. He's got a great staff, got a beautiful facility, great education. So the makings are there for them to compete for an Atlantic Hockey Championship every year.
Right.
And so it was exciting to be a part of that this year.
Yeah.
And I think the next step for Atlantic Hockey is to hopefully have 2 or 3 of those teams that maybe even actually get into pairwise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they're close. I mean, I was saying, we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. You used to see that Atlantic Hockey winner that made the tournament used to be 35 in the pairwise, 38 in the pairwise. I think Bentley was 22. I mean, they were ahead of Northeastern, which was the team that knocked BC out in the hockey's quarterfinals. So, I mean, it's not that far off. The whole league has improved over the last 5 years.
Yes.
What do you still keep, and what's, other than just rooting for them, I mean, do you keep a close connection?
Yes, I'm very involved, very close with the athletic director, very close with Andy. Andy and his coaches, we partner with them in Shoe Dog, so they're involved. Andy gives the opening pep talk and do a tour on campus. The coaches are on the ice, so they're involved with us. They believe in our vision, so there's a good relationship there, not just for me and Bentley, but also for between Shoe Dog and Bentley.
Well, listen, we got to get to the rest of our cavalcade of guests here, but we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your sponsorship, and we look forward to continuing the relationship here in years to come. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That'll be you.
Well, we can't quite go that far, but Greg Kersha of Shoe Dog Hockey Academy, thank you very much for stopping by, and good luck the rest of the way. So, of course, his son played for BU, and there you go. How you doing? Mike knows
Mike knows all the Chew Dog guys. So, but we're gonna get back before we get to the top of the hour. We got a special guest here coming up in just a few minutes. So we want to make sure we get time for him. But I wanted to get back to the Hobie conversation somewhat because again, Isaac Howard winning the Hobie Baker Award, and I think as we were getting to say, some people were surprised. A lot of people, I think, last night. John Buccigross, who I talked to this morning, was the one opening the envelope from PricewaterhouseCoopers, and he hesitated when he opened it. It was almost like if you look, I was trying to read his mind. It was like, really? Wait. And I asked him this morning, I was like, were you really shocked by that? And he's like, it was surprising, but he was just trying to make sure he read was opening the card properly. He didn't want to be like Warren Beatty at the Academy Awards and read the wrong name. So he was double checking because he's like it's a really big envelope. So when he started to open it, he saw Isaac Howard. He's like, oh, are there other names on here? Were the other ones circled, or is it like that?
Do they just list the one, or is it all three and they circle one or something?
So as he's opening up, he's kept opening. Nope, that's the only name on there. So it was Isaac Howard, and hey, like I said, we picked him as Player of the Year. So whatever. I was gonna say personally, I didn't think it would go that way just because of what I was hearing from other voters that I know, a lot of whom went for Zeev, which I would have no problem with whatsoever, given the way he's performed down the stretch. And I thought a lot of people would be swayed by the glitz of Ryan Leonard and him being a high pick and going to the Capitals and Ovechkin and all that jazz. But lo and behold, end of the day, it was Isaac Howard. So it surprised me from that sense. But when stepping back, it's like, wait a minute. He had an awesome year. He's led the nation in points per game, led the nation in even strength goals, as we've talked about. So I think we're good with Isaac Howard.
He's our Player of the Year. I don't think you're going to get much argument from the CHN people anyway, given the fact that he was our Player of the Year. And it's just, I can't believe that number you threw out earlier where it's been 20 years since a Hobie winner has come back. That's amazing. But you think about him, especially recently, like in the last 10 years, most of those guys that most of the guys that win go on to sign pretty quickly and end up in the NHL. So to have the chance that the Hobie winner could return, and who knows what happens next year. If he plays on a line with Caden Lindstrom, he could rack up the points and potentially win two of these things in a row. It's going to be pretty special.
Yeah, I was just being distracted here by some Minnesota Duluth fans. I told him they missed his coach. He was just here. He's probably glad he wasn't here for that. But I told him to go listen to the replay of this and listen to their coach who did a great job here. But yeah, no one's ever won back-to-back Hobies because, first of all, if you win a Hobie Baker, you're either a senior in the past, or you're a dynamite player who gets signed by an NHL team. So it's very rare that they even come back. As he said, the last one was 20 years ago with Marty Surdich, and he didn't have quite as good a senior year, so he did not come close to winning the Hobie that year. And in 2006, it was actually Matt Carl.
Yep.
We actually had Ryan Patolny as our first College Hockey News Player of the Year that year. Scored 38 goals. No one has scored more than that since. But Matt Carl actually won it. But Marty Surdich won the Hobie in 2005. So really, there hasn't really been a whole lot of opportunity for anyone to win it. And like I said, I still, I want to see him. I want to see him enroll in his first class and show up in September before I know for sure that he has a chance. I've seen this movie before.
The McGroarty one was probably the latest. I think Cooley signed after development camp, which would have been like July. McGroarty, I think, was into August, before he signed.
I thought Cooley was around then too, but yeah. Oh, it's definitely, I definitely wouldn't count your chickens 100%. Let's put it that way.
And I don't know that he'll sign with Tampa before the start of the year.
But
I think it's more trade, exactly. If Tampa does decide to trade him, if they're worried they're not going to be able to sign him, they want to get some type of return there.
And if you're Tampa, you're smart if you do that. You should trade him at this point if someone will take him.
If you don't think you're going to sign him, yeah. If not, you wasted a first-round pick. You lose him for nothing.
Right, exactly. So, if I'm then, I would trade him. But, is that team you're trading him to going to be able to sign Howard at this point either? Who knows? But Howard holds all the cards.
Yes, at this point, yes. Yep.
Yes,
because
sir.
he can just become a free agent next year. So he has a lot of control. When you wait it out this long, the way he's done it, a lot of the power goes back into the hands of the player. So.
And yesterday also at the awards, of course, Jacob Fowler winning the Richter Award. He is now in Laval, the AHL team for the Canadiens, so he was not there.
He's playing tonight. He's making his debut tonight.
So he was not there. I mean, kudos to Ryan Leonard for getting there last night, I will say. Even though, you don't know if he's going to win it. Turns out he did not. By the way, also got into his first NHL fight today, I saw.
Against the former Miami forward.
Who was that?
Sean Corrales.
Oh, Sean. I don't know if that was a heavyweight bout, but.
Not exactly a heavyweight bout, no, but.
But apparently, I mean, hey, I was going to say this is why Ryan Leonard didn't win the Hobie, but we're just tongue-in-cheek on that one. That's fine. Obviously, nothing to do with it, but. Yeah, I mean, Jacob Fowler winning was really no surprise either, but unfortunately he wasn't there. But you take a look at he was our first team all CHN, so really no surprise there whatsoever. Wasn't a Hobie top 10 for whatever reason. That was Alex Tracy, and no offense to him, he was our second team all CHN, but Fowler winning the Hobie, and no arguments really there at all. But you look back at the list of Richter Award winners, it's just getting pretty impressive at this point. And they're all Hockey East guys too. Hellebuck, Demko, Swayman. Who am I forgetting that are major NHL players?
Oh, Levi.
I mean, Levi I know, is he like the number one in Buffalo right now, or he's been up and down?
He's been up and down. I do think he's up there now, though. But I know he's been on there twice. He was the only two-time winner, right?
Yeah, so Levi is. Are we getting listener questions out here?
Look, we're actually having a guest that needed to move back a couple minutes, which has worked out well. So,
perfect.
Bill Muckalt will be here around 6:15, 6:20.
The Lindenwood head coach Bill Muckalt, St. Louis guy. But now we have another St. Louis guy. Do you know Bill Muckalt?
Yeah, I know Bill very well. He actually was an assistant coach at Michigan Tech a few years ago. Played at Michigan, and got to know Bill real well. He's an NHL alumni, so he's doing some stuff with our NHL alumni.
So, by the way, this is Mike Zook. I didn't introduce you. As we're getting the fans come in, it's always beautiful this time. But Mike Zook played on the 1975 Michigan Tech National Championship team. We just had an article on College Hockey News from Chris Murphy, our reporter. So we wanted to follow up and have you on here as well, so we appreciate it. Obviously, you live in St. Louis. You wound up playing for the Blues. We talked this morning about how, it was a little long and winding road to get to the Blues, but you finally got there.
Yep.
Playing in the WHA, Utica.
Utica, New York.
That had to be beautiful.
That was slap shot, not quite to the nth degree, but just one step below that.
I've been to Utica. I understand, believe me. But that Michigan Tech team in 75, the last Michigan Tech team to win it. Who knows if it'll ever happen again, the way the NCAA is nowadays. Yeah. But we could always hope. But
I heard they're recruiting a lot of the CHL players.
And what do you think of that?
Well, it's kind of strange. I mean, I feel bad for the kids that would have taken the spots that are coming up, that now the CHL players are going to come in. Yeah. But I think it's going to make Division III hockey much better. And club hockey, it's kind of strange. I'm sure the NHL loves it. They can use that as their training grounds like they do already with college.
You would have liked some NIL money back in your day, I think.
Oh, I joke I would have probably got free pasties up in Michigan Tech.
Exactly, you get Chipotle coupons or something. But John McInnes, I mean, that was a little bit before. I've been doing this for 30-some years, so I go back a ways, but not far back enough to ever have met John McInnes.
Right.
So explain to me and our other audience, what was he really like?
Well, he was a legend. He commanded so much respect. He was an ex-goalie. I think he played for Michigan. Knew the game. Actually won in 65, I think. There wasn't a Frozen Four at that time. It was just a Final Four or whatever. But the Michigan Tech won in 65, and they recruited well. He was a coach that actually coach defense, because as a goalie, you know how goalies are. They like to have a good defensive system. So he helped me a lot. I know there were teams that we played against, like Michigan State. It was all offense. Didn't worry about their own end. He made sure I learned how to play good defensive hockey, and it helped my career. I was an offensive player in college, but I knew how to play defensive hockey. I ended up starting out in my NHL career as an offensive player, but killing penalties. And by the end of my career, my job was to try and stop Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky and Peter Stastny. So, well,
some you win, some you lose.
Yes,
right?
yes. I had a funny story with Wayne Gretzky. My job was to jump on the ice whenever he was on.
Yeah.
So, first period, he's on the ice. I didn't get on. He scored a goal. Second period, I was killing a penalty. He was in the corner in our end, shot the puck out, hit our defenseman, went in the net.
Right.
And I was actually on the point in the power play. We were losing.
Was this Jacques Demers? Who was the coach of?
No, at the time. Well, I was in Edmonton at the time.
Oh, you mean?
I went from Indy to Edmonton.
Oh, you mean?
And it was Glenn Sather was actually the coach. So, but I was in Hartford in the NHL at the time. So, third period, we're losing by a goal. I'm on the point in the power play with our goalie out. He picks up the puck behind his net and shoots it down for an empty net goal. He gets a hat trick. I'm the guy who's supposed to be checking him. 5-on-5, we were great. But that's the type of guy he was. He was opportunistic. I mean, tremendous player, but he scored a hat trick. My coach is probably looking at the score sheet at the end, and what the heck, why was Zook on you? But that's the way it was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure the NHL was a lot different in those. So was college hockey for that matter. But, just in terms of, you look today at the game, and we were just talking about the goaltenders that have come out of college hockey in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no offense to those guys, but these guys are just ridiculous. That's the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah.
The goaltending.
Oh, the size of the goalies and their flexibility and the stuff they do. You watch the old replays now, and the guy's standing up, but he's just wide. And, the corners are everywhere. And now,
they would come way out of the net, standing up straight, and just kind of
I mean, it's incredible. The difference in the goalies for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think of the size of this event? I mean, just how much it's changed over the years. And
in our interview, I probably mentioned it this morning, was college hockey at the time. My first coaches and most of the coaches didn't respect college hockey. It's my first coach who sent me in the minors. Well, you don't play defensive hockey. There's no hitting. What the other line was, you only play 40 games, so go down to the minors and learn the pro system. Now, 35% of the guys in the NHL are from college. And the NHL loves college hockey.
Yeah.
That's their training ground. The guys learn how to, they get the skills down there. They learn how to play the game. They come out at 20. Now they're going to come out at 24 and be ready to step right into the NHL. College hockey. I mean, NHL wants more college teams if they could.
Yeah, I bet. That's why the NHL has done some studies with with certain schools. It seems like they're trying to help grow and launch more programs.
Oh yeah, I hope they put some money towards it. Now with the NIL money, maybe the NHL can start putting money into programs and help develop some of these. Because they need more college hockey teams.
Yeah, I know too. Like there's. Who knows what happens with this, but I know the CHL teams, I think, get development money from the league. And I think there's a push with some coaches like, hey, well, we could use that for our program too. If we're going to have draft picks on our roster, why not?
Exactly. It's a strange one now with the portal. That's changed things. I mean,
for sure.
College hockey's crazy now.
I don't know if it's for better or worse. It's certainly different. Let's put it that way.
I don't think the portal's better.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine mentioned to me, maybe allow a kid one move.
Yeah.
You find a coach that doesn't like you, or a team recruits real well, and you don't have that spot. Maybe one move, but there's guys that move every year for 3 years.
They've tried that. Unfortunately, the NCAA keeps getting sued. So
I was just going to say, the lawyers are involved. That's what happened. The lawyers got involved and said, why can't my guy make money? And why do you keep a guy on a team for 4 years if you're not using him? So there's good and bad, but I don't like the complete movement.
So again, back to that 75 game. Obviously, you guys kind of blew them out. Actually, I mean, you played them 3 years in a row. You weren't. You were there the next year still. They played Minnesota again. So they got their revenge, I guess. But that game in particular was kind of a blowout. So I don't know, do you even remember going through that game hey, it was a kind of anticlimactic. We got to get this over with. Let's celebrate already,
It's hard to remember because it was so long ago, but I watched, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
So I ended up watching the first period, and they were all over us the first period. Our goalie, Jim Warden, played tremendous, and then we got a goal partway through the third, and then we got one right at the end of partway through the first, and then at the end of the first, so I think the momentum switched. And as we talked this morning, all 3 years, we won the championship in '74. They won the NCAA. They won the championship in '75. We won the NCAA.
Right.
And again, it's switched.
You mean the WCHA?
76, the WCHA. Yeah. So the one team that was second was hungrier than the team that won the WCHA.
Well, that's what was interesting about Western Michigan beating Denver last night, because Western had just won in the NCHC against Denver in double overtime, and then they did it again.
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
So.
And Denver got in because of their position, right?
Yeah. A little different now. 16 teams instead of 4. But 47 goals your senior year. They didn't have a Hobie Baker award then at that time, unfortunately. But
no, I did win the most valuable player in WCHA, and the WCHA had 2 teams automatically into the finals. I'm not sure what league was it, the Eastern League or
ECAC.
They got 2 also. Because the Central Hockey League, those teams couldn't even get in.
They couldn't. They didn't
even compete to get in.
They kept battling to get in. They couldn't get in, and finally, I think in 1981, they expanded to 8 teams.
Right.
Right. So
I like the way we do it now. I mean, it's interesting the way you see teams out of nowhere get in. And I tell people now the Michigans, the top teams have their blue chippers they get, but they only stay for a couple of years.
Right.
And these other teams, they recruit the 20-year-olds that don't get picked up, and they end up being competitive. So it's competitive across the board, which is kind of neat.
So you obviously in those games you were playing against Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
He wasn't the legend yet, I guess, at that point. But did you have any awareness of he's the other any memories of him being the coach?
I've got a funny story there. Lou Nanny played in Minnesota for the Gophers, ended up being the NHL manager. He actually was at a hockey school I used to go to when I was a youth in Sault Ste. Marie, because that's where Lou's from. So my first year, I'm in the Union, playing against Minnesota. Herb Brooks walks in. He walks up to me and says, "Mike, we were going to recruit you, but Lou Nanny told us you had another year of high school." Now, I don't know if Herb was just giving me a line because there were no Canadians on that team, but Lou Nanny knew I was a good player. So he might have been telling the truth. He might not have, but he said we would have recruited you. So who knows? Who knows if I would have went? You know?
Right. Yeah, no, that Minnesota. I mean, they would have had a couple of future 1980 Olympians on there. I think Eric Strobel or Vercoda was on the 7. Phil Vercoda, right? He was on the 76.
And then Joe Micheletti. I played with Joe in Edmonton and played with him here.
Yeah.
And they had quite a few. Holmgren was on the team in '74.
Yeah. He only stayed 1 year, I think.
I think so. Anderson was a name. I remember that. Yeah. So.
Well, you guys had plenty of good guys yourself.
Yeah.
Bob Lorimer. I mean, I'm a big Islander fan.
Oh,
so
Bobby
Lorimer.
Yeah, he was our captain. I played with Bob for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't necessarily a top pair defenseman with the Islanders, but a very steady.
Oh yeah.
He
helped them win 1 or 2 cups.
Yeah, I think it was 2, and then he got traded to Colorado. I think it was.
He did. Yeah.
For Mike McEwen, which helped them win another cup.
Yeah.
So.
Bob was a good defenseman, and he helped them, tremendously.
And you guys still keep in touch and all that?
Yeah. He's up in Toronto.
Yeah. What was I going to say? That St. Louis team you were on, though, in the early 80s, I mean, I was a big Islander fan, but I think they never got to play each other because St. Louis kept getting bumped off. Like you guys, but I think you had the #1 record 1 year, Mike Liu was the goaltender.
Yeah, we were first place with 3 games left in the season.
Okay.
The Islanders came into town. Dennis Potvin knocked me out of the game.
Oh, yeah.
First period, I came through the middle and
was it a hip check?
I don't know what it was. I woke up in the locker room with I think one shoulder touched the other shoulder. So I missed the last 3 games of the year.
Oh, yeah.
They beat us in that game.
Well, I'm sorry.
To go to be 1 point behind us, and then they ended up getting first place overall. So we were second place overall, 107 points. Best year ever for St. Louis up till that point.
Right.
We got knocked off by the Rangers in the second round.
Oh, right.
That year.
Yeah, because I was anticipating. I love those St. Louis teams actually. Bernie Federico and he was there already, right?
Bernie was there. Liut, Babbage, Sutter.
Babbage, yeah.
Somebody you probably know probably was our most valuable defenseman, even though they didn't have one, Jerry Hart.
Oh, Jerry Hart.
Jerry Hart was on our team. He helped us tremendously that year.
Right.
He got hurt the next year, and his career was kind of over.
Yeah, because he was on the 80 Islander team, and then he got traded.
Yeah, and then he got traded to Quebec, I think.
Okay.
And then he came to us, and he played the full year, 80-81 with us.
His son went to Merrimack with me.
Oh, that's
actually.
right.
He was a defenseman,
right?
Jordan. Yeah.
Did you get to know Jerry? Nice, great
guy.
guy.
I may have met him once, but yeah, his son and I were there at the same time. It was funny.
He was tremendous player. Small guy, but a lot of spunk in him, if you want to call it that.
I was just going to say, he was considered a tough son of a gun for his size, right?
Yeah, we missed him the next year.
Yeah.
We didn't do as well the next year because part of the reason he ended up not playing.
And Mike Liut was a college goalie too.
Yeah, Mike Liut. And one thing I want to say, we talked about NHL or college players not getting the respect. Emile Francis was here in St. Louis. He was one of the ones that really recognized college hockey players ahead of most of the other NHL guys. So we had myself, Joel Micheletti, Craig Norwich, Liut, Jack Brownscheidel.
Right.
We had 5 guys in 80-81 on our team, and I don't think any other NHL team had but more than one player.
Well, this is a perfect transition as we're going to Bill Muckalt here, who is the Lindenwood head coach here in St. Louis, and was an assistant coach at Michigan Tech, who was mentioned earlier, played for Michigan NHL. So, before I let you go, how St. Louis has come. You stayed in St. Louis when you retired.
Right.
The growth of youth hockey, all the alums of NHL players who raised their families here, and all their sons, wound up being huge.
We've been very lucky. We've had a great connection with the alumni, with the team. Barclay Plager and Bobby Plager went from coaching to management. Red Berenson, same thing. And they stayed around, so it helped us develop our alumni. And a lot of us alumni started coaching, and it's a great city, and we helped develop the hockey, and it kept players here because they had places for their kids to play at a good level. So it's kind of been a snowball that year after year, guys have stayed, guys have coached, helped to do it the right way, helped coaches coach. And as you said, there's a lot of ex-NHL players, kids that have gone to college hockey or even NHL from St. Louis.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to meet you, and enjoy the game.
My pleasure.
We'll hand it off to Coach Muckalt over here, but thank you very much. That was Mike Zook, of course, the 1975 national champions, Michigan Tech NHLer. Hand it off to another NHLer. And you, Coach Muckalt, did you play for the Blues at all?
No, I was in Vancouver, the Islanders, Minnesota,
right.
Ottawa, but they've been.
I couldn't remember all the teams.
They've been great here in St. Louis, just with the alumni and making me feel comfortable and part of their group.
We were talking yesterday with a couple of people, like the explosion of hockey around here with players too, like. In terms of the number of players that you've seen, high-level players, Division I level players, in your experience recruiting, it seems like this has kind of become a hotbed for those types of players.
Yeah, there's just, I think there's so many players here. Speaking of Mike Liut, was my agent, him and Brian Lawton, but being back in St. Louis and Red Berenson. But there's a lot of people, whether it's Jeff Brown, Al McInnes, just people that were, Keith Tkachuk, that got involved in the community and the hockey community and coaching, and really helped develop a lot of local talent here in St. Louis, in Missouri. And like you say, it's all the way up to the National Hockey League. And obviously being at Lindenwood now, that's an area where we have 2 local players, Tyler Lockman and Jack Anderson, 2 local products. And as we move forward here, we've identified some players that we think are going to be great fits for us at the Division I level that have local ties.
How did year one go overall? I mean, I'm sure it's kind of a thing where you go through year one and then you step back and evaluate a little bit and figure out ways to improve to move forward. But it was generally, what were your takeaways from year number one?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the St. Louis. It's a hockey town. Love the Italian food.
We had the chicken parm on Wednesday. How about Napoli over in Clayton?
They've been so
fantastic.
good. A big shout out to Kai and his family. Yeah, we just love it. And it's been great. Obviously, a lot of lifting, a lot of different areas from fundraising to community engagement to season tickets, and then obviously to compete at the Division I level. We had certainly some big successes, like beating Wisconsin, beating Notre Dame. The one thing I was proud about with our group is that how competitive we were every night. We showed up, we played hard. We over time want to try to continue to build the skill and keep recruiting better players. But I can't say enough about our team and the kids in that locker room and their character and the culture, the standard they set for each other.
Just for anyone who doesn't know, Bill Muckalt, two-time, as we get crowd come, the Lawson Lunatics are here, but two-time national champion, 1996 and 1998. We won't talk about 1997. I've talked about that with you before, but still one of the greatest hockey games I've ever seen. And unfortunately, you lost, but it was a great game. But what kind of memories does it bring back just being at this Frozen Four here?
Yeah,
and you've been here as assistant coach, obviously, with Michigan, so it's not like it was that long ago. But
yeah, I think I've been to probably 8 of these now, Frozen Fours, and I've been on both sides of it. Some special memories with a great group of guys, great staff and program, and some moments. And it always comes down to making one more play or one less mistake usually. It's a one-game series. You can just hear how electric the atmosphere is in here right now, and the puck hasn't dropped. That's just so great to bring college hockey and the Frozen Four here to St. Louis. As you guys know, it's just electric.
Well, as you can hear right now, it's very electric at the moment. Yeah. Absolutely. I thought it was cool. One of the things you guys did as a group of independents this year with postseason awards. I know there's talk of maybe like a loose affiliation. I know the NCAA, I think still has a moratorium on single sport conferences. But how did that whole thing come about to kind of work together and have some postseason awards? And obviously you're scheduling each other all season anyway. So,
well, I want to give a shout out to the guys that I coach against in there, to Brett Riley, to Eric Largent, to Shaz up in Anchorage, to David Berard in Stonehill. We kind of just got our heads together and said, what can we do to help our players? What can we do to make it a better experience for our student athletes? And I just, after getting to play them and getting to know them better, just have so much respect for each of them in how they operate their program and what they do, and how professional and how good at coaches they are. Every program has different obstacles and different challenges, and as an independent, as a fellow independent, to see that to come together and to try and help each other says a lot about them.
For as cool as that is, I mean, it's probably for a lot of the schools maybe a little bit of a stopgap on the way to maybe getting into a conference. And in terms of what might be coming for you guys in that regard?
Well, I can just tell you that right now we're an independent program. Obviously, my boss, Jason Coomers, and I, we've had internal conversations. We've had conversations. I can't really speak at who or what or when or how, but the goal for Lindenwood is to join a program, and we're working to join a conference, I should say. We're working hard behind the scenes, kicking tires, making conversations, headway. So that's a long-term plan for our program. I can't really speak to anything more about that at this time.
Seems like the school's really behind it, though. I talked to Jason a couple of times a year ago, and I got the impression that the school's 100% behind trying to build a hockey program there. One of the things he said to me was, we don't just want to have a team. Like, we want to have a team that competes. That's the goal here. It's not just to have a team, and that's got to be nice just to know that the school's behind it in a big way.
Yeah, for the big reason I came to Lindenwood was Jason. Jason Coomer, my boss, his vision, his commitment to the program, to myself, and he's been there before. He's been at a big school at Ohio State. He's taken 2 programs from the Division II level to the Division I level. We have 21 sports at the Division I level here at Lindenwood. So that's a big-time job, and the progress that they've made in 3 years to where it is now, he deserves a lot of credit. And I think he's a sharp guy and knows how to get things done, so I have a lot of confidence in him.
Does all this NIL, transfer portal stuff, do you feel like you can navigate that okay? I know it's not easy, but any worry that, that's kind of going to hurt you guys at all, or kind of just got to go with what it.
Well, we lost one player this year to that, and we're trying to establish a culture. We're a big part of the thing and growing a program and fundraising is NIL dollars. That's very real, and that's an aspect of the landscape of college hockey and NCAA sports right now. So as we continue to grow and continue to build, we'll get more involved in that. But we've got a ways to go. But that certainly seems to be the landscape. But you just wonder on the other side of it how committed somebody is if you have to pay them that much money to, how bought in are they to your program.
I don't know if you saw the quarterback at Tennessee was holding out. He didn't show up to spring practice. He was holding out. I saw this yesterday on SportsCenter because he didn't get the NIL package that was promised, and now I read today he's not going to school anymore. So but it's crazy. And in football and basketball, you're talking a different level of money, but it's crazy some of the stories I think we're going to start to see. It feels a lot like covering pro sports now. It really does.
It is. It seems to be more transactional. The one thing I'll say is about our culture and the kids in the locker room, They got a great attitude, a great approach, and we're a family, and we do what we can. And I hope to kind of maintain that commitment level. The easiest thing to do as a coach or a player is to just leave. But I think it's important for our staff to believe in our players that are here right now wearing that jersey or in that locker room, and that's kind of the message that I've tried to instill is you build from within.
We saw them outside earlier too. We were driving in. It looked like half your team was out in front of the building. We noticed the names in the back of the jerseys. We were driving up and I go, who is that? And then we saw the name. We go, oh, but it's most of the Lindenwood team. So it seems like you guys have a big chunk of players here tonight.
Yeah, then we definitely wanted to have our brand down here and guys down here, learn to play and spending time with the fans and the community, and that's a big part of what we're accomplishing.
Well, thank you, sir. We'll let you go enjoy the game. Bill Muckalt, Lindenwood head coach, Michigan 2-time champ. Thank you very much.
Adam, Mike, thanks so much. Great to join you guys as always.
And I'm going to let Mike and Anthony chat for a second about the game.
All right, so we're 4 minutes away from puck drop. If you're still tuning in, we appreciate it. We got a big game coming up. BU, Western Michigan. Anthony, I don't know what to expect. I was saying to Adam when we started earlier, we were talking about who's going to win the game, and I was like, well, I thought BU was going to lose in the first round, so what do I know? But I guess the big question is do they figure out a way? They figured out a way against Ohio State. They figured out a way against Cornell, and obviously the other night against Penn State. Do you think they figure out a way against Western?
I'm right there with you with BU, and kind of the biggest question with them all year is what BU team is going to show up. Is it going to be that BU team we saw in the first period against Ohio State, or is it going to be that BU team that's shown up every period since? And they've shown up against Cornell and obviously the other night. So it's will they be able to figure it out? And I give credit to Coach Pandolfo. I mean, and the team too. You know, he called them out after that loss to UConn in the hockey semifinals there, and you know, told them that play is not going to cut it at the NCAA tournament. And they've figured it out since. So we'll find out if they can figure it out again tonight.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it after that UConn game. I'm like, I've seen him give that press conference 3 different times this year, which is why I picked Ohio State in that first round. I go, it just doesn't seem like they haven't put together, and they hadn't been consistent. But since the second period against Ohio State, I'm not sure there's been a more consistent team throughout the tournament outside of that one period, really.
No, absolutely, and it has been them, and they're getting it from everywhere. I mean, obviously, you know, we know how talented Cole Eiserman is, and you know, the Hudsons, of course, but they're just getting that production from up and down the lineup, and it's helped get back to those consistent efforts that we haven't seen from them for, you know, much of the season.
Well, let's go. I'm excited about this game. That's all I know. I want. Sorry, that was I muted there? Yeah. Let's say let's go. I'm pumped. I'm ready to see this game. I'm liking Western, but I know I'm always wrong, so I don't know what to think. I don't know. They're so deep. But you know, it's BU. It's BU. You know, we'll see if they can channel some of the old Jack Parker magic here. I was just referencing Bill Muckalt in the '97 game. That's the one they lost when they were wire to wire #1 after winning in '96. Lost to BU. I'll never forget Jack Parker saying, "Hey, we're BU." Like, everyone had Michigan win this game. We're BU. So that's all I remember from '97. And then them losing to North Dakota in the championship game and Sean Bates bawling his eyes out. That was my first Frozen Four. I'll never forget that. But
first one I ever attended, it was as a fan because I was 14 years old, was '98 though.
Oh, there you go.
So I do remember the '98 one.
I missed that one, missed '99, and then been to everyone ever since. So there you go. All right, Anthony, thank you. We got to wrap it up.
Of course.
Did you give a pick here? Did you give one?
I did not. No.
Pressure's
me on the spot
you got to name the score too.
3-2 Western Michigan.
Because this is how my life works lately. 4-3 Western, 7 overtimes.
Thanks, great.
Gonna go right to the airport.
4-2 Western. 3-0 Western with three picks to none for BU means that BU is going to win. So good night, everybody. Enjoy the game. This has been the College Hockey News Insiders Podcast live from the Frozen Four in St. Louis. We'll see you on our podcast next week. Make sure to check out collegehockeynews.com for all the coverage here from St. Louis tonight about the game and all the stuff going on, coaching changes, conference changes, and everything else. The topics galore in college hockey. We'll have it all still throughout the summer. But for now, enjoy the game. So long.